And we're back. So Satoru is definitely onto the trail of Uni. The same trail I've been on for, almost 5, 6, 10 gameplay hours. I'm just saying, I called this shit a long time ago. Or no, maybe not. Might not be as godly intuition. I've been interrupted right in the middle, and now that it's come to this, there's nothing I can do. Let's settle things with Uni first. Uni, we have to talk. Uni, we have to talk. Once I'd said that, another question? He screwed up his face in dissatisfaction. Excuse me. I returned to the upper floor and walked to the middle of the room. What is it now? Still sporting a sour look, he came over to me. Both of his arms swinging sluggishly, he stood before me. Have you ever heard of Sphia? Hey, have you ever heard of Sphia? I didn't have time for chit-chat, so I had to go for a frontal attack. Sofia? Isn't that capital of Bulgaria? It's Sofia, right? And please don't try to evade the question. How do you know that? I don't know what the capital of Bulgaria is, that's for damn sure. Though geography is one of my weak points. I wasn't really. Let me ask you something else. Do you remember what you told me when we first met? First met? You mean the day before yesterday? It was so long ago I had already forgotten about it. I see. Let me tell you then. This is what you said. This person just forgot. What'd you mean by that? Nothing really. What I said was just the truth. The truth? Well, wasn't it? Because Satoru has amnesia. Wait. What did you say? I said because Satoru has amnesia. How'd you know that? I'm sure I never mentioned my amnesia to anyone in the shelter cabin. Eh? Found himself at a loss for words. His facial expression immediately froze. His eyes darted around the room. Seems I finally got him. And that's not all. Even if I talked to you about my amnesia, that would have come later, right? Back when you said it, we'd only met for the first time. And nobody had noticed that other personality taking control of me. Even if I hadn't realized what was going on myself. So why? How did you know Kokoro's personality had changed? Oh snap, he's been found out! But kind of like what I called many hours ago. How did you know that was Yukito Satoru and that was Satoru had amnesia? That's, I don't think you'll believe me, but... Uni wrote in the ground with his toe and his shoe as he answered. I have the power of precognition! Precognition? Yeah, it's not really something to be surprised about. I call it precognition, but I can only see vaguely in the near future. I looked deep into his eyes. The panic that had been there just a moment ago had completely vanished. I don't get it. I didn't get it. I couldn't tell what he was thinking anymore. You don't believe me, do you? I've been to Sofia. We'll stay there for a day once and just drove through once. Oh, cool. I hope it's a cool place. It's just I don't know if the capital of Bulgaria is common enough knowledge that that's the sort of thing we should just be throwing around. There was nothing suspicious in the tone or his voice, but still I felt like he wasn't telling the truth. Really, there'd been very little credibility to what he just said. There's no way I can believe in precognition. What disturbed me most was the gap I felt between his tone and what he said. Precognition, I see. There's no way I'd actually believe that, but for now let's go along with it. Well then, will you prove it to me? Try to predict what's going to happen after this. Anything regarding the future is okay. Even just one event is fine. Show me what you got. Uni answered, gently knocking his fist against his jaw. Okay then. Well then, would you give me your palm? Palm of your hand. Doesn't matter if it's right or left. Could you show me? No way. You're not talking about palm reading, are you? So what if I am? You don't call that prediction. Is that just fortune telling? Fortune telling is a kind of precognition. Come on already, show me. And he grabbed my hand and... That's when the swap happens and he's able to completely change the subject for Kokoro. Because in most European countries, at least briefly. Man, that'd be cool. America's weird in that you have so much space and so much variety, but at the same time, there's not the same type of variety as if you're going to a different country. So having all those countries in Europe, especially that are so close together, and you can drive between them in like a day and just go to all these different places, sounds like such an amazing experience, and it's one I want to have one day. But at the same time, it's like I could travel 8 hours by road straight south in the highway here in California and basically only find farms. And with the occasional town in between. But there's still cities everywhere. Don't get me wrong. There'll be cities to my west and east almost the entire time. But you can go in a straight line in the U.S. for a long time and see nothing. Feeling on the palm of my hand was unexpectedly changed. It wasn't the only change. Posture, my field of vision, smell in the air, had all changed in a flash like magic. A transfer. I instantly realized it. However, I couldn't understand the state of my body so instantly. I gradually confirmed everything around me. First off, I was in my private room with Sphia. My body was on the bed, lying on the side in the fetal position. I'm looking out toward the window. Through it, the blue sky outside was visible. In one of my hands, I felt another's palm. In other words, I was lying in bed holding hands with someone. Suddenly I felt a faint but sweet scent tickle my nose. Maybe the fragrance from somewhere. No way. I turned over mechanically like a clockwork doll and my body hit something. And a few centimeters from my nose was Hattori's face. Oh, right! I forgot Kokoro did this. Whoops. She kinda tried to calm her down. This is a different implication. Anyway. Noah! I jumped back at surprise. Hattori's arm fell into to the bed with a thud. She's asleep? Just to be sure, I prodded her cheek. She scratched the place I poked with the tip of one of her fingers. Letting out a faint grumble, she turned over in her sleep. With her eyes still closed, she chuckled. Was she dreaming? At any rate, she didn't seem to be suffering. Before the last transfer, she was in quite a state. I don't know what happened after that, but perhaps she blacked out and was carried to her room. Satoru, please jump to conclusions. I was thinking the same thing. Kokoro, what did you do with my body? Well, she just needed comforting, is all. How? I'm not going any further than that. Thank you. Bye. We were in Hattori's room. Nothing strange about her being asleep there. But me? Why is my body in her room? Moreover, we were holding hands and lying on the bed together. So what in the world was Kokoro doing before I came here? Every single time I transfer, it's always the same question. I'm seriously fed up with it. Yeah, I can't help but think about it. Just to be on the safe side, I checked over our clothes. Nothing out of place. Fair enough. Kokoro's consciousness was female, so even if she entered a man's body, she surely wouldn't do such a thing. 'Cause everybody's heterosexual, right? Just saying. She could be bi, or, straight up gay, or, there's a multitude of options. There's an entire rainbow of sexualities out there that absolutely allow for females to have sex with females. I'm just saying. They're out there. It's weird, I know. Says the person showing Kokoro's panties to Uni Nemogi. To be fair, okay, that was actually totally on him. I mean, it's true. Oh man, I instinctually am gonna spread my legs like this, and it's gonna suck, but I'll just have to bear with it. It was a pretty bad excuse. I'll be honest. Anyway. But wait, if Kokoro happened to have other tastes, it'd be a totally different story. Holy shit, it actually occurred to him. Anyway, I was relieved that nothing had happened. From the looks of her calm, sleeping face, it seemed I wouldn't have to worry about Hattori. Kokoro was probably just here because of Hattori's fit. She'd stayed by her side. As a result, they ended up falling asleep together, but given that Kokoro's a woman, there's nothing strange about it. I somehow felt that I'd caught a glimpse of Kokoro's kindness. Well then, I'd love to gaze at Hattori's sleeping face forever, but I don't have time right now. Wait, hold on, let's back up a second. What was that you just said? I'm sorry. Satoru, no. Stop helping Aluniar. You're making things worse for me. Why can't everybody just be asexual? It would make my life so much easier. The time after the transfer is always busy. gonna relate, damn it. I silently stepped toward the exit so as to not wake Hattori. She's really cute when she's like that. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't separate the face from the context. Let's be honest. Context is kind of important. But... interesting. He transferred back, and she started talking in her sleep a tiny bit. Not necessarily talking, but at least making noises. Maybe more so than the one who's mute. Further. I'm really certain my theory about the transfer happening at the same exact time for Hattori and for Kokoro/Totaro is true. I returned to my room. I took the wristwatch out of my pocket and confirmed the time. 2:30 p.m. If I estimate that I stayed with Hattori for 5 minutes, and this transfer occurred at 2:25. Previous transfer is at 1:52. Therefore, I was at Mount Kokoro for 33 minutes again. Transfer phenomena has a pattern to it? 2 does not make a pattern. Although I still can't be sure. I'm not checking the time immediately after the transfer, so the numbers in and of themselves aren't that trustworthy. Well, I'll think about it more carefully later. Next, I checked to see if there were any messages. I picked up Notepad. No reply from Kokoro. Which to say, except for the time that she made the drawing, I've never received a proper response from Kokoro. Does she not like writing? Though she could just talk in a voice recorder at the shelter cabin instead, so it can't be that for that simple reason. Maybe too many things are happening and she doesn't have time to leave a message? I muttered, persuading myself. The blank notepad in my hand. I stared at it until I felt dizzy, but no words materialized. I tossed it on the desk and lay down on my bed. I thought about the uni amount at Kokoro. In the end, I'd missed another chance to talk to him. Precognition, huh? Could it be true? Even though the rational part of me wants to die it to bitter end, another part of me wonders if it's really okay for me to dismiss it so easily. I don't believe him, but I also somehow feel as though I could. I'm in a stalemate. Curse my own indecisiveness. In any case, I'll put the problem with Uni on hold. Next time I transfer, I'll have to talk to him again. Leaving it for later, putting it on hold, delaying. I kind of feel like I'm procrastinating over an awful lot of things. I'm not making any progress. Which is the equivalent of saying that I haven't obtained any new information. Ah! I screamed, furiously scratching at my head. Jumped off the bed in a rage. There are too many damn things to think about! Stupid! Stupid! I kicked the desk with all my might. My toes hurt like hell. Why would you do that? In the end, night came without me making any new progress at all. No transfers had occurred since then either. The matters of Uni and Tori were still running through my head. And after that, I began to worry about Lid and Kokoro. Furthermore, the mysterious transference phenomenon that was tormenting me, both me and Kokoro. Just what is this phenomenon? What did it all mean? How had the two of us become involved in it? Is it a prank fate decided to play on us? Or maybe God's practical joke? Without one clue to my current situation, I unintentionally began to cling to these illogical, mystical thoughts. Does that kind of thing, doing that kind of, like, wow, why can't I read this? What is going on? Take a deep breath, Haven. Give me a sec. There. Chugged a bunch of water. Now, doing that was kind of like taking the easy way out, but I felt that if I didn't, my brain cells would explode and gush out through my pores. Right now, my head was burning up from all the confusion. In an attempt to cool it down somehow, I was currently... Ayahuasca matter. I have no idea what that means. Haven's words broke. Yeah, my words kind of broke for a minute there. Ayahuasca. I have no idea what that word is. I've never seen it before. Outside on the terrace, exposing my body numbing chill of the midwinter spring. Wait, what? Hold on. What was that just now? Don't do that, game. Whatever. Fine. It was the waning gibbous moon. Does that make today the 19th? For half the visible surface was illuminated. The moon was only just risen. I somehow felt very relaxed, bathing in the pale moonlight. All my worldly thoughts were cleared away, and the inside of my head became perfectly clear. Felt like all my troubles were being sucked away. Sitting on the terrace, I continued to absentmindedly gaze up at the moon. The waning moon shone down its divine radiance, drifting in an infinite world. It looked like the orb being borne across the sky in waves, just as I had thought. What are you up to? A voice came from behind me. Turning around, I saw... Utsumi-san. You'll catch a cold if you stay outside for too long, you know. What's wrong? Is something bothering you? No, I'm fine. Trying to distract her, I favored her with a light smile. More importantly, Utsumi-san, why are you here? You see, I've identified the composition of that liquid. Liquid? You mean the stuff that was on that cheese? That's right. So I thought I'd come and tell you. Utsumi rested her back against the railing of the terrace and crossed her arms over her chest. She combed her fingers through her silvery hair. Shining in the moonlight, her hair held a dreamlike radiance. I'll start with the results, but it wasn't poison, she said, staring at me firmly. What? That can't be. Why did the rat... Wait, let me explain, okay? What I meant was, it wasn't harmful if taken as recommended. However, if you defy those rules, it becomes a deadly poison. It's a kind of chemical. It's that kind of chemical. So, more specifically, what kind of medicine is it? An MAO inhibitor. Uh-oh. That's what it's called. Uh-oh. MAO inhibitor? Yes, that's right. It get a little complicated from here on out, so I'll get it out. I'll go in order, okay? First, as to the properties of MAO inhibitor, MAO is short for monoamine oxidase. A monoamine oxidation enzyme. As the name suggests, the MAO inhibitor literally works to inhibit the oxidation of monoamines in the body. And this monoamine oxidation itself serves as a function of swiftly metabolizing harmful substances accumulated in the body. For example, something like the substance tyramine. The monoamine oxidation enzyme, can you tell why I decided not to become a nurse? Is responsible for the breakdown of the tyramine content found in low food as well. By the way, the tyramine substance is known to cause stimulation in the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is one of the components of the autonomic nervous system, the regulation of blood pressure and blood sugar levels. Blood vessel constriction throughout the body and the accumulation of blood in the brain and muscles are all controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. Do you get all that? Because here comes the important part. The MAO inhibitor works to suppress the monoamine oxidation enzyme. The monoamine oxidation enzyme is responsible for breaking down tyramine. Tyramine causes stimulation of sympathetic nerves. The sympathetic nerves control blood pressure. So if the MAO inhibitor is taken... I understand, that's enough explaining. So in short, it's like this, okay? If the monoamine oxidation enzyme is prevented from breaking down tyramine, the sympathetic nerves get overstimulated and the blood pressure rises. Just as expected, Yukido-kun, you're a fast learner. Then do you know the symptoms that accompany extreme elevation of blood pressure? Let's see. Most likely, blood vessels in the brain will rupture. And in the worst case scenario, death, I think. Utsumi nodded deeply before continuing. Other symptoms include pulmonary edema, circulatory collapse, heart attacks, and many other complications stemming from hypertension. But please hold on a minute, Utsumi-san. Monoamine oxidation enzyme is naturally present in the body, isn't it? Then what about tyramine? Good job on noticing. I said so from the beginning, didn't I? The MAO inhibitor isn't harmful if taken as recommended. And one of the recommendations is, do not take it with any food containing tyramine, right? Do not take it with any food containing tyramine, right? Yes. That's why, conversely, if you're in a situation where there's no tyramine present in your body, no matter how much MAO inhibitor you drank, it would be completely harmless. Tyramine would completely disappear from the body after 48 hours at least, because of the monoamine oxidation enzyme. In other words, if you don't eat food containing tyramine for 48 hours, MAO inhibitor won't have any negative effects. I see. What kind of foods contain tyramine? Too many to count, really. Chocolate, bananas, figs, raisins, liver, herring, pollock roe, salmon roe, wine, beer, coffee. And there are dairy products such as yogurt, butter, and cheese as well. Cheese? Yes, cheese. I see. So that's why the rat was suffering like that. The person who added it most likely knew what would happen. If not, there's no way you'd ever combine an MAO inhibitor with cheese. Good job, Shamir. Shortly after the game decided to tell us. But yeah, I made the same assumption. Which means their goal from the start was to kill the rat? Most likely. I began to ponder, tapping my finger against my temple. Was Tori the one who spread the MAO inhibitor on the cheese after all? I simply relieved it from its pain. was in agony on the kitchen floor. Isn't taking away the pain, yada yada yada. Thinking about Tori only made me feel depressed. Pregnant girl. I'm sorry, what? Why is that the title? I'm sorry, what? I'm saving more often because things are happening. Even though it had been sunny today, my body was frozen to the core from staying outside so long. Shivering, I entered the sunny living area. The interior was enveloped in darkness. Sumi had already left, and I too was heading to my room. The remaining was Hattori. Kagome, Kagome, bird within the cage. Yada 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 yada. Lumiere, what'd you do to Hattori? Hey, don't worry about it. She'll be fine. She was all by herself humming that song, sitting right against the window, basking in the moonlight. How long had she been sitting there? Did she hear a conversation between me and Utsumi? I approached her. I approached Hattori, steadily as though lured towards her. What would I talk to her about? I couldn't just ask her about the MAO inhibitor straight out. When I pressed her about it this afternoon, Hattori became extremely agitated. She was mentally ill. I thought it'd be dangerous to excessively stimulate her for no good reason. And besides, what good would come from asking her about the MAO inhibitor? It wouldn't help anything if even if I did confirm Hattori was the one who did it. Nrian! Hello. Good to see you. And Alu with the shifty eyes. We know it's you. She'd beaten the rat to death. What's more, she'd already admitted to have her own free will. Wasn't that more than enough? Stood beside Hattori, thinking that. You could apologize for the third degree you gave her earlier. And then... Hey, Sitaru. Before I could open my mouth, Hattori began to talk instead. However, her eyes didn't turn to face me. She was absentmindedly gazing in the darkness outside. Her body had the appearance of a ghost in the pale moonlight. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Do you know the hidden meaning behind the Kagome song, Sitaru? I know nothing about it, so any information you could give me about that damn song that keeps popping up would be great. Why do you ask all of a sudden? No reason. I was just wondering if you knew. I don't. Tell me literally everything. Meaning the Kagome song, huh? Fortunately, I don't. I thought you were pretty scholarly, Sitaru. And you don't even know something like this? Hey, it's because it's something like this that I don't know. Told you to look it up, Treelos, and stop saying it wrong. No, I refuse. I refuse to look it up. I'm gonna keep singing it my way. Because I can. The meaning of the Kagome in the song. It's talking about a woman with a great big belly. A woman who uses her body as a cage, Kago, written as Cage Woman. In other words, a pregnant woman. The next verse, the bird within the cage, when will you come out? Here they're asking when the baby will be born. And then there's in the evening lit by the dawn. Yoke no ban. Ban doesn't refer to the evening after day, but the bond you write together with the character for woman to bear a child. It's referring to a character, Ben, in Bunben, childbirth. Then what about the next verse? The crane and the turtle slipped and fell. What does that mean? The crane and turtle are a symbol of celebration, right? For them to slip, that would mean... You understand the rest without me saying, don't you? Wait, the Kagome song is about... Yee. A stillbirth? That's kind of hard. A weird interpretation. It's like hearing someone say Ring Around the Rosie instead of a pop song. It just sounds wrong. Alright, we haven't done the favor Hattori asked of us either. Shit. I began to think. Kagome referred to a woman who was using her body as a cage. The bird probably refers to a baby, and the lyrics are asking when the baby will be born. As for meaning that follows, the birth will happen near dawn. However, the joyful celebration had slipped and flowed away. Looks like you figured it out, huh? Hattori's eyes narrowed straight from the window. What was she so sleepily looking at? As time passed, the darkness outside deepened even further. But wait a second, Hattori. Even though I figured that out, it still doesn't mean I understand everything. About a dude who's pregnant. You've been reading too many of my fan fictions. I'm kidding. I don't actually write fan fictions. I only threaten to. Meaning the last verse. What does "Who's That Behind You" mean? Who knows? I don't know either. I wonder who it could be. The one who's there behind you, I mean. Without another word, Hattori got up and headed to her room. However, just before she left the room, she stopped and turned to me. Oh, that's right. You remember our bet, don't you? I have a favor to ask, so listen carefully, okay? Before continuing, she handed a certain object over to me. Can you look into this for me? I found it in Uni's room. I'm counting on you, okay? Leaving those words behind, she disappeared to the door. Found it in Uni's room. I opened my palm. Pills. Some kind of medication. Package of word Rexinen printed on it. Rexinen! Benzodiazepine, an anti-anxiety agent. Binds the BZD receptors as well as the GABA-A receptors. I know the GABA-A ones. Suppresses nerve stimulation, puts the body in a relaxed state. Results in anxiolytic, anti-anxiety, sedative, hypnotic, sleep-inducing, muscle-relaxant, anti-convulsant action. What's more boring than I expected? Not necessarily. Its anxiolytic tranquilizer effect is so powerful, it is said that it is 5 times more potent than the average anti-anxiety drugs. After taking the drug, the highest concentration in the bloodstream will be achieved within an hour. The manifestation of its effects are somewhat sped up. Its half-life in the bloodstream is 6 hours and 20 minutes. Or is that supposed to be 6 to 20 hours? The drug is classified as having a short to medium-term effects. It is a very useful drug because its drowsiness side effect for a minor tranquilizer is relatively weak. Benzos will fuck your shit up if you're irresponsible with them. Yeah. Benzos will fuck you right up. This seems more boring than that. Well, more boring than murder, maybe, but I mean, not necessarily boring strictly. And the fact that those pills were in Uni's room, which could be future Uni's room, yeah, which is completely understandable that he would need anti-anxiety pills given, you know, humongous crash. That said, he was mostly unresponsive from everything we've heard after the crash. Not super anxious. So why would you give some tranquilizer to someone who's not responsive? Well, I mean, there are definitely possibilities for why you would. I'm saying it's just less likely. Even if you asked me to look into it, complaining I slipped pills into my pocket. Even so, why did Hattori suddenly begin talking about the Kagome song? Judging from her tone, it didn't feel like it was just idle chit-chat. Kagome song, huh? Somehow I felt like the truth about her was hidden within that song. Living here had become devoid of light. I'd gotten completely wrapped up in my own thoughts there in the darkness. It seemed like a very productive way to pass the time. Want some insights into the Kagome song? If you mean in how to say it, I might actually... You know what? Fuck it. What's the Kagome song? Is there like a YouTube link for it? Kagome song. Here, hold on. We're all gonna hear it together. Well, that was fucking creepy. What the hell? It's a children's game song like we're hearing in the Rosie. That's the first thing that popped up on YouTube. What the hell? That was creepy. Say it like this. Fuck you. It's just it was good fortune, and this or something can mean coming of misfortune. So it is somewhat similar to what she was saying, but her interpretation of a pregnant woman, who knows? Anyway, that was the version I got to find on YouTube, first thing. If that's not the version you're used to, I don't care, because I'm going to be fine, because that creeped me the fuck out. Anyway, I had the time to do stuff like this, I should get moving instead. Thinking of that, I began to wonder where to go. Since the sun had set, it talked to both Utsumi and Otori, which left Uni. My feet automatically began to take me there. Star's Prince. Upon opening the door, I saw Uni standing in front of the fridge with a glass cup tilted toward his mouth. There was mineral water in it. Now this game is more creepier than ever. It looked like he'd just taken a drink. Oh, what is it, Sadaru? Uni asked, placing his empty glass on the desk. Even though he'd asked what is it, I didn't have a reply ready. There wasn't anything in particular I wanted to ask him. After all, the consciousness Uni here right now belonged to Uni of 2011. Of course, it'd be a different story if it was the Uni of the shelter cabin. I had a mountain of questions for him. However, no matter what I asked this Uni of the past, I didn't think the answers would have much significance. No, but not like I can say that for sure, is it? It wasn't like I'd found any concrete evidence the Uni of Sphia was really the Uni of 2011. Hey Uni, this is kind of abrupt, but I tried throwing out a question like this in order to confirm it. What year is it again? What are you saying, Sataru? Did you forget that too? Oh well, I don't mind if you think of it like that. So what year is it? What year do you think it is? Hey, you're hopeless. I'll tell you, so make sure you write it down somewhere, okay? It's currently the year 2011. I see, that's right. Thanks. Saying that, I left Uni's room. I'd guessed right after all. It's the year 2012 here at Sphia. But in spite of that, Uni just told me it was the year 2011. Could there be any better evidence than this? Uni had transferred just once, jumping through time. But his testimony alone wasn't enough. Just to be sure, I felt it was necessary to get the testimony of the third party as well. If you asked what kind of testimony I was after... Hey, Utsumi-san. Oh, what's wrong, Yukito-kun? Well, the truth is, there's something I want to ask you. What is it? What year is it now? It's 2012. Utsumi answered without the slightest hesitation. My conviction became even firmer. If my memory matched with third party's testimony, it was good enough to support my thinking in regard to it being the year 2012 in Sphia. However, I'm convinced that the Uni right here is from 1 year in the past. It's a definite possibility. On January 11th, 2011, Uni, who was a passenger on flight HAL 18, had fallen into Mount Nakakura and by some twist of fate ended up at this facility. That said, he hadn't transferred over and over again like Kokoro and I. He'd only changed places once. The past Uni's consciousness gotten stuck in the future Uni's body, and vice versa. Why the transfer only happened once to Uni? I groped along the wall until I found a light switch and flipped it on. The living area was empty. My body sank deep in the sofa as I kicked my feet over into the table. No matter how much I thought about Uni, there'd be no end to it. Now I had even more things to ask him next time I was at shelter cabin. He said he had the power of precognition, but that had been a lie. That darn Uni! I don't know whether he'd heard my muttering or not, but... The door to his room opened and Uni suddenly popped out from behind it. Sataru! Sataru! He rushed over to me, calling out in a cheerful voice. He hopped up on the sofa, and at that instant, my consciousness was suddenly yanked away. Body swap! We're not going to ask Hattori about the year. She might still be sleeping. Or wait, no. Sorry. She's not sleeping. She went to her room. She went to her room. Let's leave her privately in her room. I'm still impressed with how nice that living area looks every time I see it. It looks kinda bland to me. Which I guess they don't want it to be overstimulating. Also, hey, the furniture's all gone now. I was on a bed in a shelter cabin, my body lying down under some blankets. No, rather than my body, I guess I have to say Kokoro's body. Immediately checked the time. Wristwatch on my right hand indicated it was 10:15 p.m. Oh, never mind. Furniture's still there. It was just the stove was missing because reasons. I got up and walked to the center of the cabin. I looked all around it, turning in a circle. Yomogi was squatting in front of the stove, throwing wood on the fire. Up on top bunk, Lin was asleep with her back to us. The most vital survivor, Uni, was nowhere to be seen. Yes, he's the most vital. And this time, I'll get the truth out of him no matter what. Could he be down in the storeroom? I tried asking Yomogi. Hey, old man. When I called to him, Yomogi rebuked me as he turned around. I sure wish you'd stop calling me old man all the time, Yukito-kun. Ha! Picked up on that right away. Eh? You're Yukito-kun, aren't you? It's easy to tell you two apart by the way you speak. Well, this certainly is a welcome development. Now I can finally skip the explanation every time. Which reminds me, it looks like Fuyakawa-san recorded something. And we're gonna see the ghost furniture pass to Sadaru. I hope so. On the voice recorder. Kokoro did. Yeah. But since she went down the storeroom, I don't know what it was about. She was whispering something, so I figured. I see. Thanks a lot. I decided to immediately go listen to the voice recorder. Sitting in the corner of the room, I pressed the playback button. I waited for Kokoro's voice to flow from the device and into my ears. This is Kokoro. I listened to your message. What'd you say about that was the year 2012? It's the year 2011. It's not like you to be mistaken. Maybe you should rest up for a bit. I asked everyone, they all said it was the year 2011 too. I repeat, this is the year 2011, there's no mistaking it. She paused for a moment and continued. P.S. Quit taking off my wristwatch, okay? A wristwatch is called a wristwatch because you wear it on your wrist. Finally getting around to that. The content itself didn't seem to come as much of a surprise. In fact, Kokoro was convinced the year 2011 is understandable, of course. Because in the shelter cabin, saying it was the year 2011 was correct no matter how you look at it. She said I asked everyone. That everyone's probably other refugees in this shelter cabin. They said it was the year 2011. Again, a reasonable statement. It seems like what I tried to say didn't come across very well. The last match had been cut short due to Uni's unexpected intrusion as well. I ended up not being able to tell her everything. The world you're in right now is 1 year later to year 2012. That's pretty much what I said. It's only natural for her to misunderstand. So I had to reply to her at once. I pushed the record button and raised the mic to begin speaking. This is Sadaru. First, the least important point. I intend to listen to your requests as much as possible. Since we're partners, I think mutual trust is important. However, your demand to keep the wristwatch on, I can't accept it. Having something on my arm just irritates me for some reason. By the way, it's the same with bracelets and the like. In the first place, I have a problem with the custom of wearing wristwatches itself. Shouldn't a gentleman carry a pocket watch? You don't own a pocket watch. You own a wristwatch that you don't wear on your wrist. Because you're an ass. Sometimes. No, I don't really like their design, but they don't keep time that well, so I reluctantly carry around a wristwatch. But don't you think the spirit of gentleman is something to be cherished? Even if we were to be sued by a wristwatch society, these feelings would never change. In conclusion, request to keep wristwatch on, denied. After recording that, I made it a point to finally take the wristwatch off. This is war. This time I'm gonna hide it where you'll never be able to find it. I approached Yamogi. Would you hold on to this for a while, you old man? Without waiting for an answer, I shoved the wristwatch in his pocket. Hold on to it. Here, I'm trusting this to you, so don't ask any questions. It's an important wristwatch. Make sure you don't lose it, old man. Yamogi tilted his head to the side. I flashed him a thumbs up and left the cabin. I left so that, for now, Yamogi wouldn't ask me any questions. Not that it would really matter if he did, but having to explain everything would be a pain. I sat down just outside the cabin door and resumed recording. You're not a gentleman, though, so your point is irrelevant. That's what I'm saying! Let's get to the main point. Continuing from last time, about the question, what year is it? Remember what I said in the previous message, right? The world you're in right now is the 1 year later, the year 2012? However, that wasn't the most accurate way to put it. That time, I'd lost my head and I forgot. The place where Kokoro can listen to the voice is restricted to just the shelter cabin. I didn't realize this simple truth. That time, by the world where Kokoro is, I didn't mean the shelter cabin. It's the world where Kokoro is from the viewpoint of me, who is here now. Meaning, in short, Sphia. Do you get it? Without beating around the bush, it's like this. In the world of Sphia, it's 2012. In the world of Shelter Cabin, it's 2011. Our consciousnesses are jumping not only through space, but also through time. What we're trapped in isn't a mere personality exchange phenomenon. Along with the personality exchange, there's a time jump and an extremely unique transfer phenomenon. I say this, but I guess you probably won't believe me. How should I explain it? At any rate, this is the truth. 2012 is Sphia, 2011 is Shelter Cabin. Kokoro and I keep shifting back and forth between two different bodies, places, and times. Just now you must be thinking, how can you say that with such certainty? The answer is simple. Because I live in the year 2012. That is to say, to you, I'm a person from the future. That's why I even know about the Shelter Cabin being in 2011. The crash of Flight 18 for me happened last year. You still can't believe it? Can't be helped. Well, then I'll tell you about Uni. In the message to Sphia yesterday, you wrote this, right? Because if that isn't so, I can explain how Uni could exist two people at the same time. At the same time. That's what you wrote. But you know what? They aren't really the same. One Uni is the Uni of the year 2011, and the other is the Uni of the year 2012. Even if the very same person exists at different points in the time axis is not particularly mysterious, don't you think? Or rather, isn't it natural? Both in the future and the past, Uni being there is normal. But you know, from now on it won't be so straightforward. And just when I was about to go on, the moon floating in the eastern sky above, shape caught my eye.